Bruce Wemple on the Fishbowl. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good,
Thanks for having
good. Thank you for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me.
me.
I, I hope the
Yeah.
temperature is just right.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited. No, this will be fun.
Awesome, awesome. Um, well, I had a chance to watch Dawn of the Beast, and I really, really liked it a lot.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
I'm really, really big into like the paranormal and aliens and actual Bigfoot stuff and all that, and I love a good B grade Bigfoot kind of creature feature movie, and it looks like this is your second kind of Bigfoot esque film because you worked on what was it, Monstrous
Yeah, yeah.
before this, and I was wondering as my first question, um, do you have like a personal interest in Bigfoot, or is it just kind of like a fun kind of like writing territory?
I think it's a little bit of both, but yeah, I've been fascinated with kind of cryptids for a while now, and then even like when I was a kid, I ended up finding out that my dad had been really into Bigfoot growing up, and my grandmother had this giant collection of newspaper articles and stuff he had clipped out of just all sorts of Bigfoot sightings. So I didn't like it was that point I realized how much he was into it. And so that kind of sparked something in my imagination when I was a kid that, just it's not necessarily the idea like believing it exists, but believing that like something like that could exist, something, could be in our own backyard that we have no idea is out there. There's something really fascinating about that to me.
I definitely agree, and I mean my personal belief is that it does exist. Um, like I've read like a lot of books. I've been very interested in it since I was like a little kid, and my sister kind of brought this to my attention when I was in college, and there's there's actually this race of apes that we found called bonobo apes, and they basically they're fairly recently discovered. I think within like the last 50 or 60 years, and they were found in a remote region of the Congo, and these apes, it's um, they were able to take one of like a couple of them, and this doctor was working with them, trying to like communicate with them, and uh, at first like the mother is who they were trying to teach to communicate, and they were having trouble, but her infant son was in the room, and the infant son kind of just naturally picked up on what the doctors and scientists were like, trying to teach the mother. And now I think the son is like an adult and has children of their own, and it's believed through observing these apes that they have sex for more than just procreation, pleasure, and they also possibly have their own type of religion. And if you look at like what the bonobo ape looks like, it really kind of resembles what that was it 1960s footage that they had at the construction site, only like a smaller version of what that ape looked like.
Wow. That's awesome. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and I basically like wrote a paper on it, which was it was basically like in a psychology class, and the paper was basically, stating that if through finding like these apes, and basically all we would need to find is like a body, proving that Bigfoot exists, and that would kind of like settle the debate and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's very, very interesting, and like if I personally think that the Native Americans know a lot more about Bigfoot than what they're willing to, um, admit to the public for, uh, you know, I think safety reasons for protecting the animal, because they look at it as like a sacred being that
Hmm.
they've coexisted with for centuries.
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. I think yeah, there's definitely a lot out there that we don't know about, and especially start digging into those darker, denser part of the forests. That there's like you said. I mean, a body, anything like that would definitely provide that solid proof. But yeah, who knows what people who claim they have seen him and that had these encounters and everything. I mean, there definitely could be something to it.
I definitely think so. I mean, I'm definitely like a little bit of a I guess tinfoil nut uh, with this stuff. But I just think there's a lot that like we don't know about, and I think like the more that we keep like building and expanding, um, it's forcing like a species that like we may have not already known about, the kind of abandoned habitats and whatnot, and force them to kind of like show themselves in a sense, by being pushed out of their homes.
Yeah, and that's something you wonder if do you even want if Bigfoot does exist? Do you even want him to be discovered? It's is it just a better, safer for everyone, safer for if there is a Bigfoot, just to stay in the shadows.
Right, right. Um, but I not to get too off subject with the paranormal stuff. I did definitely want to talk about the film. Um, but I really enjoyed um, the the fact that there was like multiple monsters
Yeah,
going on, and I like that like Bigfoot was kind of like essentially like the monster that fought the the bad monsters.
yeah, the
He,
Wendigo.
yeah, the Wendigo, yeah. And I really really liked the end when he just went like ape shit, literally, and just totally like destroyed the Wendigo monsters. And I like that there was also I forget the character's name, but he was the essentially the human
Yeah.
Everett's character. I did like Everett's character. The fact that he was kind of like introduced at the beginning, and had like a little vendetta thing going on, and I like that the 10 year gap in between his story to the main characters, um, how he had like an eye patch, and you can see that he's definitely been like through some shit.
Yeah, I think at that point probably it started to go completely insane, and there was a little bit of a you know, obsession there with Bigfoot, and I think there was a hint of Wendigo. And there's a lot going on with Everett in those last 10 years to get him to where he is now.
Did he have like a backstory like behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean the actor was Grant Schumacher, and he always does that kind of stuff, even if it doesn't end up on screen. Just figuring out, you know, how does someone end up like Everett in the movie, and because it's a pretty larger than life sort of character to imagine, you know, what was a young early 20s guy just out that woods with his girlfriend and everything like that, and then to jump 10 years and now he's, you know, essentially a Bigfoot hunter willing to kill people to get revenge on whoever killed his girl. And yeah, and I think what he talked about was, you know, this thing, the Dead Month, this time of year where all these cryptids are kind of showing up. Is that yeah, he was coming out every year for that month just to hopefully get a chance at, you know, like I said, getting revenge. And and you know, when he wasn't there, he was planning his how he was going to do it when he was gone. But again, yeah, he became obsessed. He also, I don't think he was the smartest guy in the world because he, you know, after that time amount of time, he still thought it was Bigfoot that killed his girl, not the Wendigo. But no, I think it was a really interesting character.
Yeah, I definitely like that he had like the eye patch and you know like a little definitely you know a more rugged look.
Yeah,
Um,
and then the emotional and physical scars, you know, it's helpful.
right. Um, I also liked how some of the effects that were involved. Um, I like that um, you know the main character. Um, I forget his name.
Chris,
Yes,
Chris,
Chris.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I liked how Chris was, you know, the nice guy who, you know, I honestly wasn't sure if, you know, at the beginning if he was going to be the final character or not. But
yeah.
I like that you know he went essentially from like literally you know the line of him being like a puppy dog you know type character to you
Yeah.
know the end basically you know willing to just chop off Everett's head you know and
Yeah, that was kind of by design of we because you know a lot of times these movies you'll get, you know, there's one character who's got this tragic backstory or something like that, and then you kind of know, okay, that's the person that's going to be left alive at the end. We purposely didn't want the audience to be able to guess totally who was going to make it out because you know, I feel like once the audience knows who, you know, narratively is the main character, those scenes kind of become a little less scary just because, you know, okay, they're not going to kill, you know, whatever the final girl or something like that. They're not going to kill them. But in this movie, I mean, really, I hope felt like anyone could really, you know, be killed off at any moment. So, and especially we tried with Chris. You know, he's got the bird watching. He's like, oh, I'm going to go look at those birds by myself. See you guys. Like, we wanted to give that idea of like, okay, this guy's clearly going to be the one who dies first, if not second, or something like that, and kind of, you know, subvert those expectations.
absolutely and I probably like related to him I think the most out of all the characters because I consider myself like a pretty nice guy, and like I think I was like the most like him, but the characters that I tend to like the most in film are definitely more like Everett.
It's just, Everett's just entertaining. I think yeah, it's definitely easy to identify with someone like Chris because he just tried to genuinely be a good person. He was a little ineffectual and he's um not, you know, he definitely in the started off just, you know, kind of being, you know, stomped on a little bit, you know, by his girlfriend and everything like that, and then he kind of grew into it. Character like Everett, it's just you need to get the right actor and everything like because it's a bit of a larger than life character, but that's what makes it so much fun to watch on screen. That just, that kind of vibe, and that, with the accent and the hat and the eye patch, and it just, you really had to lean right into the genre when you're doing that.
Definitely, definitely. The one character that I wasn't sure how she was going to play out was the other female lead that made it with
Lily.
yes, that made it with Chris till almost the end.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the same thing. I mean, I think once the movie started going, you might have started getting the idea. Okay, maybe she's gonna win the one, because I think that's the most obvious choice. Once it gets to the second half, you're like, okay, Lily has to deal with Everett and has to, do a lot in the movie, and you're like, okay, she's going to be the one that finally overcomes this and gets out. And again, we try to subvert that, obviously, when she gets her arm torn off and just bleeds out, and that was it.
Right, right. And I definitely, I did not see that coming. Um, and I was a little disappointed because I thought she seemed to just have it together, like the most out of all of them, so but the thing that I guess kind of like what was her downfall, was I guess how they mentioned in the film that the Wendigo feeds on I guess selfish people more than I guess good-hearted
Yeah.
people. And she definitely had like that in her, um, where Chris him, because he was the puppy dog and tried to just do the right thing like all the time. I guess he was more spared.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely it rewarded his he's a little more selfless than the others, and they talk about that. And yeah, I think that was definitely part of it. I think the Wendigo obviously just also want human flesh at a certain point. So I think everyone was in a bit of danger no matter what. Definitely the character played by Ariella Mastroianni, the Isabel, who gets possessed by the Wendigo. That's all to do with her selfishness, and the with the necklace, which kind of represents greed, and that was definitely, like you're saying, the Wendigo targeting the selfish.
Yeah, definitely. And I liked I liked her kill. Uh, when the car crash and then the teacher gets killed, and then the supernatural aspect of she sees like the evil spirit of herself, and then essentially gets like her neck broken, and then like fully possessed. Um,
Yep.
I really like that a lot. And I also loved how there's just the classic like horror movie mistake of like clearly they discover a body and like we should clearly like get the fuck out of here, um, but they're like no, we're just gonna stay and like see how this plays out, and obviously that's their downfall. But
Yeah, yeah, and that was definitely Oz's doing. I think trying to give everyone a bit of make him a bit flawed, and Oz kind of is so gung ho on seeing Bigfoot that he is the one that convinces the others not to say anything. And the others just don't want to say anything because they don't want to have to do papers or anything to pass the class. I'd rather just see out the trip. But I don't think any of them actually think that they're in that much danger. Stupidly, obviously.
right, right. But in a horror movie, you got to have the classic mistake. Um, you know, it
Yeah.
it just it just makes it like that much more fun. You know, but I really like that a lot. Um, I thought the effects were really well done. I was wondering what was part of the creature design aspects.
Yeah, so worked with a guy named Jared Ballag, who is our, creature effects makeup guy. and he was just brilliant. I mean, so again, this is our second Bigfoot movie, and then between this and Monstrous, the other Bigfoot movie, I did a Wendigo movie called The Retreat, and that's also available to watch. And both Monstrous and The Retreat are much more character based. They're almost a bit like dramas with these creatures in them, and the creatures like the danger of the creatures and then the deaths and stuff force these characters to like really examine themselves. And but so this movie we definitely just want to put the monsters on show a little more and just make it a classic, horror monster movie. The creature we for Bigfoot we started from scratch. We did a whole new Bigfoot. Jared started doing molds on and designing the face and I already kind of had some of the fur and the muscle suit to go with it. The Wendigo, the flesh eaters, those bald flesh eaters, that was straight out of The Retreat, the movie we did previously. And then lastly, the demon spirit, not the spirit, the demon possessed girl. That was again Jared just doing his makeup design and doing that. And then beyond that, we obviously have the gore gags, which is all Jared too, of the blood and the arm getting pulled off and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot going into it, but some of the legwork had already been done with those last two movies, so it was helpful.
Awesome, awesome. I definitely just have to mention this because we're on the subject of Bigfoot and Bigfoot movies. I actually went to a school for screenwriting, and um, I'm currently working on like a B grade like killer Bigfoot, more like an abominable snowman
Nice,
type movie that's based on a short H.P. Lovecraft story.
nice. That's really cool. That's really cool. The what's the premise besides obviously Killer Bigfoot?
Well, the short story is called "The Beast in the Cave," and the short story is very kind of like open ended. It's essentially like a guy is like wandering in a cave in the dark. He's been wandering for hours, separated from his traveling team, and he kind of hears this like essentially what is supposed to be like an abominable snowman, and the short story just ends with him running and he throws a rock and hits the creature, and the guide like finds him, and when they like put the torch on the body, they see it's like an abominable snowman type creature. The story that I'm trying to adapt from that story is um, the premise is like it takes place in the Himalayas, and the army is kind of like investigating these like disappearances because they have like a little like base out there, and it would like kind of open with this scientist running for his life in a cave, and gets knocked off, and then they basically would recruit these um, like several scientists to come to the Himalayas and uh, investigate the events, and then basically shit goes haywire, and they get kind of stranded on the mountain and stalked by Bigfoot, and there's essentially going to be like a King Kong killer ape living in this cave, where this like species of abominable snowman have been like sacrificing humans to this like giant King Kong abominable snowman living in the cave.
That's really cool. That's really cool, and that sounds really interesting. I love the stranded. Sounds like there's a bit of a survival movie in there, which I really dig that kind of stuff too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I wanted to have it kind of end kind of like how The Thing ended.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like they escape the situation, but like they're still kind of like doomed. You know.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That the movie I did before this, The Retreat, definitely it's about the Wendigo, but it's one of those, it's two backpackers that go up into the high Adirondack high peaks, and one ends up alone and kind of stranded, and he it's a has that combination of a survival backpacking movie, along with being stalked by a creature, and obviously the Wendigo is cool too because it messes with your head, and the movie gets very trippy with that and really explores, what if someone is possessed by the Wendigo, the kind of mental terrors they go through.
Awesome, awesome. So are you also like very interested in like Native American lore?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the monster stuff, especially because I'm from upstate New York, and being already into cryptids, and just that kind of the mystery of everything. Definitely leaned a lot more into those Algonquin legends and stuff, just because it's local and it's stuff you can read about that, like I said, could potentially be in your backyard, or there's not far from where we shot. Actually, it's where we shot the original, where we shot Monstrous. There's a town called Whitehall, New York, which is basically known as like the Bigfoot capital of the country. If you look at they have like a Bigfoot parade each year. There's a giant statue of Bigfoot when you get there. There's all these sightings that have happened on the roadside and stuff, and it's really interesting. And that's like an hour from where I grew up, and so it's um, definitely that side of the Native American lore is really really cool, really interesting.
I'm like very into that stuff too. The one legend that I find really interesting. It's more from the Navajo, and
Mhm.
that's the Skinwalker.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between the Skinwalker and the Wendigo. I think Skinwalkers are southwest, right?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and I did a little reading on that, and then there was a lot of similarities between the Skinwalker mythology and the Wendigo.
yeah. The thing that I was like I was really reading into the Skinwalker legend because I have like an idea for a script with it, but the thing that was like very interesting and very also like eerie about it is that like I think most like average people when they hear Skinwalker they think werewolf, and that's not anywhere near really what the Skinwalker is. And the I guess it's more of like more of like a shape shifting like evil like shaman witch in a sense,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
and uh, the the stuff that kind of goes along with like what they can do. What I was reading up on is like very interesting, and it's definitely like a lot of awesome source material for writers to fair game to adapt. It's very interesting stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, definitely. That's really cool, and that's great material too for, like you're saying, for movies. There's just there's all this great mythology out there. There's just looking around, and all of it just has all these amazing stories that can go along with it.
Yeah, definitely. I I feel like Hollywood should kind of take a break from trying to reboot this, reboot that, and there's so many awesome just like folklore legends and mythology stuff that um, it's like there's so much you can do with that stuff. You just need to have like the right idea and kind of like mold it. Um, and there's like a lot of stuff you can do with it. I like a lot of the stuff that I write is based on mythology stuff. I've had a script make it as a finalist and a quarterfinalist in some competitions, and it's another H.P. Lovecraft adaptation of a short story called "The Terrible Old Man," and
Hmm.
it's basically about four thieves enter a haunted house in search of an old man's buried treasure, and end up getting knocked off one by ghost pirates. And the pirate that I kind of chose to use for the script was a real pirate, and he happened to be the real pirate that inspired the book Treasure Island.
Oh wow. Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, he's the pirate's name was Henry Every, also known as Long Ben, and he's like the one pirate that essentially got away, and essentially to be reborn in my story.
That's really cool. No, that's awesome. That sounds really interesting.
It was a lot of fun to write. I tried to make like the thieves like the sticky bandits from
Oh, okay.
from Home Alone.
That's funny. I like it. I like that. That's cool.
um,
It's really cool.
Thank you, thank you. Um, but let's continue talking about Dawn of the Beast. Um,
Sure.
I definitely again I liked it a lot. Um, I was wondering what are some of your inspirations that um, have kind of you know guided your writing and directing style.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a project by project basis because this movie is very different than to the last two movies that and both have they all both have Bigfoot and the Wendigo, and this is just was the first time I think, and when we developed it, and this movie by Anna Shields, who actually plays Lily. She wrote the movie, and so we had discussed even before she started writing that we wanted this to feel like a 70s 80s drive-in horror movie, like a real popcorn kind of, just sit back and have a good time watching, a movie like this. We didn't want to take ourselves too seriously with it. We just wanted to, make sure the audience was having fun. Um, that was the number one kind of rule for us. Is just like, okay, what if we're gonna do it? Let's make sure we're having fun. So yeah, when the inspirations, we just, I mean, it's pretty obvious. There's quite a bit of Evil Dead 2 inspiration in there, and that's a movie that we had all seen so many times, and beyond that, just like it's just we wanted to combine a bunch of different styles just to make it something that was just new and interesting. Then we on a little bit of the haunted house Japanese horror kind of with the Isabella being possessed and that kind of the cracking bones and everything, and then combined that with kind of like a zombie type feeling with the Wendigos and just drawing on some zombie movies. And then obviously, like when it gets to that versus battle, yeah, we were drawing on like the old Godzilla movies or honestly the old King Kong movies because they had that kind of similar setup and it's a classic monster movie setup or monster versus movie of just having, two monsters that one kind of ends up taking kind of the villain role, and then bringing in Bigfoot as the hero at the end. Just, it seemed very, really exciting and in the right direction to go for, entertaining the audience.
Awesome, awesome. Um, well, I have two more closer questions for you.
Sure. Sure.
Um, and that is that the first one is what are some of your favorite films? And the second is um, if you have any other upcoming projects to promote.
Favorite films? Yeah, that's always a good question that I have the hardest time answering. It's yeah, I think for I mean, it's just so hard because like even if you just break it down favorite horror movies, it's still difficult because so many movies are so different and so good at doing certain things. You could throw back to a lot of those old horror movies and decide, I'm like obviously, like I just said, Evil Dead was such an inspiration and definitely up there with my favorite movies. But then, like, even in the last 10 years, there's been some amazing horror movies that have come out. And, like I'm watching, like, the Conjuring movies now, and it's just, The Conjuring is just a haunted house movie. It's very simple, very, it's nothing new, but it just does so much of the simple stuff so right. And that's what makes the movie so good. Um, and so yeah, but beyond that, I mean, I think you could go outside horror for like what really like when I was, growing up, the movies that really kind of shaped the way I want to make movies, and that's your classic, your Spielbergs, your Camerons, that kind of area of filmmaking was definitely like what I grew up on, and definitely still to this day Back to the Future still is always going to be one of my top three favorite movies. Even if it's not a horror movie and stuff, it's just for me, it's just a perfect movie. You were saying Hollywood rebooting things. That's the one I'm desperately hoping stays perfect and they don't try anything with it.
I definitely agree, and it's funny you say Back to the Future because no shit. My first actual memory is being in a movie theater at age 3, watching Back to the Future Part 3.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's it's just yeah. The movie just kind of sticks with you. It has so much heart, so much. There's just so much in it to love. It's great.
I consider it one of the perfect trilogies. Um, each one is a perfect standalone movie, and yet it's a continuation of the story. Um, Two,
Oh
I
yeah,
think, is my favorite. Um,
I
I,
agree. I agree.
yeah, I like that it's dark. Um,
I like that it's dark, and it's just when they started doing you know, he's wandering around in the third act. He's actually wandering around the background of the first movie. I
right,
remember watching that when I was a kid. I'm like, I didn't know they could do this with movies. Of just like he's
right,
traveling back into the first movie, and that was just so much fun.
right, and I also think out of all the movies from the '80s to predict the future, um, there are a lot that got stuff accurate, but I think Back to the Future Part 2, um, nailed the screw in the head, and it like the whole social media side that I don't think any other like futuristic movie from the '80s really dabbled in. Um,
No, no, yeah.
and that's like what it is today. And on top of that, what it also helped inspire, for the future. I mean, we would not even have them trying to make a hoverboard now if it wasn't for Back to the Future Part 2. Um,
I know. It's just such a staple in pop culture now of like the hoverboard, and you forget like, yeah, that was just made up by Back to the Future too, and it's like you say hoverboard to anyone, even if they haven't seen the movie, they know exactly what it is.
Right, right. And I mean, I remember going to Universal Studios, and when I was younger, and like waiting on that long ass line to get into the Back to the Future ride, and I just remember walking out of that ride, just being like, "Can we do it again?"
Oh yeah, I remember it too. That it was just, it felt like its own movie in there too. It was just, you had we got the actors, and it was just, yeah, it was a great time. I don't know if that ride exists anymore. I think someone
It
was telling
doesn't.
me
It
they,
doesn't.
that's a bummer. That's a bummer. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I went down there a couple years ago, and I hadn't actually been there in like it might have been like over 20 years, and
Yeah.
like when I got down there, like the one ride that I was like, please God, let it still be there was the T2 one, because I'm a huge Schwarzenegger nut. I have like a wall of like action figures and posters dedicated to that guy. It's a bucket list item to meet him and get him on my show. Him and Stallone. The two of them, I'm a huge 80s action movie junkie.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but I went down there, and they pretty much replaced the entire like Back to Future area with the whole Harry Potter world thing now,
I
and
love Harry Potter's fine, but yeah, that's a shame. I missed that ride. It was just incredible.
yeah, yeah, they still have um, like the car and like the train from part three that you can like take pictures with and stuff, but the actual ride is gone, and I was upset over that. I'm like, Harry Potter, Back to the Future, Harry Potter, Back to the Future. Gee, let me think, and it's hands down Back to the Future.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually a good segue actually into your other question, the about projects coming up, because just finishing post production on kind of another. It's like a rom com horror thing. It's like a rom com mixed with a little bit of horror demon stuff. Super fun, super excited about it. I don't know, it doesn't even have a name yet, so I don't know when that. But we're heading into production this summer, and it's not a horror thing. It's this kind of time travel, trippy action flick. So I'm super excited about that. Just on the Back to the Future topic, um, getting in some time travel in there because it's just a blast.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I would definitely love to have you back on the show to talk about your next project and get a chance to check it out.
Sure, sure. And like I said, the Dawn of the Beast is kind of the end of our kind of Adirondack monster trilogy with Monstrous and The Retreat, which are both, I think, available on Prime and a few other places. So if you like Dawn of the Beast, there's two other movies out there that both have Bigfoot and Wendigo in them. So there's more to watch.
Awesome, awesome. Are you on Facebook at all?
I have Instagram at Bruce M. Wemple on Instagram.
I just started following you on there.
Cool.
And
And
if
I'm not really active on Facebook now, but yeah, Instagram is definitely the.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, I would love to have you again on the
Sure.
show again anytime. It's been a pleasure having a chance to talk
Thank you.
with you about Dawn of the Beast, and again, loved it. Awesome little creature feature, and uh, thank you again for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me. I hope the temperature was just right.
It's just right now. Thank you. This is a lot of fun, and I appreciate you having me on. And definitely, I'll let you know. We can come back and talk some time travel.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Bruce, have a great day, and I'm looking forward to the next time we get to swim in the bowl.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Same here. All right.
Okay.